Hello everyone and welcome back to the channel. It's Deep Sport Insights, your new home for MMA breakdowns and fight picks. So you probably noticed over the past week and a half the channel hasn't been very active. That's due to me having personal stuff going on in my life. There was the wedding, so all good stuff. I had my close friend of 25 years got married, as well as I had one of my eldest cousins got married, so we had a lot of family visiting that was in town. And both these weddings took place in the same week. And on top of that, there were Indian weddings. For if you guys know anything about Indian weddings, they last multiple days. There's multiple events. So because of that, I was just extremely busy. Had my full-time job going on as well. So just couldn't get to this, and it's all for the best because I want to be able to give you guys the time and commitment into these breakdowns as well as into the content and the videos that I actually create. And if it's not meaningful to actually put that stuff out there and it's not going to provide you any value, then I'm not going to put it out there. Again, I do this for the intention of putting money back in your pockets. So with that being said, we're right back. We're locking in. We're starting with Dana White Contender Series Week 9 with this episode. And then we should be getting back to UFC this weekend, as well as we will be doing NFL picks moving forward, but not in full video format. They'll likely be in Reels, and they'll likely be in on our Instagram. We have our Instagram and our TikTok included at the end of the video. Make sure you follow us on our TikTok and our Instagram accounts so that when we upload some of these player props, and they're always plus money. We haven't put out a single NFL pick that's at favorite odds. So every single thing's an underdog or a plus money because those are the type of odds we're actually looking for. And with NFL, there's so many opportunities to get that. So that's exactly what we do when we put that out there. And we're doing quite well. So make sure you follow us along. Make sure you follow Instagram and TikTok. That's where we're going to get our NFL picks. And we've been doing quite well. For those of you who know me personally, you know how well we've been doing in NFL. I just have been focused on MMA for the channel. So if you guys like NFL picks, you like make some money, you're into football, make sure TikTok and Instagram is where you're going to get those plays that make us some real money. And with that, let's get into our first fight for Dana White Contender Series Week 9. And before I forget, I made sure, I remembered, I'm going to drop myself right down here and not forget to move myself halfway through the video, which I do every single week. So you know what? Good job to me. All right. Now let's get into it. Our first fight's between Luke Fernandez and Rafael Pergentino. I'm going to start off by saying neither of these guys should be in the UFC, but that goes doubly so for Rafael Pergentino. So these are two undefeated fighters, but the records do not tell you the full story. Pgentino is 23 years old out of Famous Fight Club. He has 5 finishes, 4 in the first round, but the competition has been rough. 2 of these wins came against the same opponent, both inside of 2 minutes, and not a single opponent I believe he's faced actually has a winning record. And if you look at some of these fight tapes, it looks like he's fighting in a prison or a basement cellar or something. There's barely any lighting, and it looks like it's just like an area divided up. It's not even a full octagon. It's like a corner of a room that they're fighting in. So really low level. I don't even know how he has this fight. And on the other side, you have, but actually, let me finish talking about him in terms of fighting. Don't want to just say, hey, you're coming from nowhere, so therefore you don't deserve the breakdown. Absolutely not. Let's give him his accolades where they deserve. So in terms of fight style, Pgentino, he swings wild, he brawls, he comes forward, and he does not move his head. So he's what you expect at low level competition. That strategy and that style is really only successful at the low level because once you start getting to like your PFLs, your LFAs, you need to have head movement if you plan to be a brawler. If brawler is even a style that exists at the high level in mixed martial arts. But he doesn't move his head, and I think that's going to cost him. Even in this fight, but it's definitely not going to get him anywhere in the UFC. He should be nowhere near the UFC in terms of competition. Luke Fernandez on the other side is 30 years old, a legit prospect. He's fighting out of Rivera BJJ, and he's competed in the CFFC. From what I understand, he's actually won their title 2 or 3 times. So he's a 2 or 3 time CFFC champion, which is a pretty good regional circuit in the US. So definitely more experience. They both have 5 professional fights, but Luke Fernandez also has 5 amateur fights, all of which he's also won. And that gave him an additional 2.5 years on his MMA career as well. So more experience, even though we're looking at 5-0. And we also have a guy who's 30 years old versus 23. So just has grown into this profession a lot more. He's in his prime, whereas you have kind of a child in Pgentino who's getting this opportunity. And he's been more of a backyard brawler up until this point. Fernandez striking, his fundamentals are cleaner. He's composed, and his fight IQ looks far more developed than Pgentino's at this stage. This fight probably won't impress Dana White, but Fernandez has the experience, edge, and durability, and the composure to get it done. I like Luke Fernandez to get the KO. It's not the highest confidence because this could end up going the distance. The reason I say that is Pgentino is formerly a heavyweight. He's fighting at light heavyweight for this fight. He didn't really look that great on the scale, but anyhow, that weight starts to become a factor in this fight, and they start leaning on each other a lot, and starts to go leaning on each other a lot, and it starts to go longer. That weight factor could wear on Luke Fernandez, and we could start seeing a lot of slowdown and stalling, and a lot of fence grabbing, knowing that Pgentino is already like not going to win the fight, probably not going to get a contract. If he decides to just sell out and slow down the fight and just hold Luke Fernandez and ruin his day too, that's a possibility. And then you guys will be like just throwing stuff at the TV because you have Luke Fernandez as a minus 700 or even minus 900 on some of these books as a favorite, and that's ridiculous. So the only way to bet this is Luke Fernandez by KO, but you do not have to bet this fight. I do think if you bet Luke Fernandez by KO, you want an under 1.5 rounds, so maybe lean towards that first round. If he should be that much better than Pergentino. If he's not, those other factors I talk about, such as the weight, the time, the composure versus the brawler style, will start to become more of a factor in this fight. And minus 800 with these level of fighters, you do not want to be holding that ticket. That's why if you can pass on the spot, pass. But otherwise, Luke Fernandez by KO is the play. Moving on to our next fight. We have Donavan Hedrick versus Felipe Diaz. This is a pretty close fight. This one was hard for me to call. Still not one of our top fights on the card. The next fight I think is gonna be really good, but we'll get there when we get there. But starting with this one, this is a middleweight bout. Donavan Hedrick is stepping up on 2 weeks' notice out of American top team Longwood. He's 6 feet tall. He's 6-0, and he has all first round finishes, and he looks dominant on the regional scene. But he's never fought anyone with a winning record. He hits hard and wrestles well, but has tendency to accept bottom position. Could be a huge problem here. On the other side, you have Luis Felipe Diaz, who's a seasoned veteran. He's 30 years old. He's 16-5 with 15 wins coming by finish, so that's significant. He's slick on the mat, dangerous everywhere, and has competed in Shooto Brazil, PFL, and LFC, so higher level competition and experience. Whereas on the other side, Hedrick hasn't even fought fighters with winning records on the regional scene, so significant difference in level of competition to factor in here. Combine that with Hedrick's short notice preparation, and you got a serious durability and conditioning mismatch in this fight if it does go long. I looked at the weigh-ins, and Diaz was massive. Diaz looked huge. He looked thick. This reminded me of a fight from a few weeks ago in Dana White Contender Series. I forget it now. It was the Mexican versus the Brazilian, where I had the Mexican to win, and he was winning the first 2 rounds. I think it was Souza, and D'Souza in the 3rd round, just like with his pure physicality, even though he's held down for the first 2 rounds, just like started bodying back, started denying everything, and won the fight in the 3rd round. And this could end up being like that, because if Hedrick starts to slow, which I don't see a way he really puts him out in the first round, because Luis Felipe Diaz is viable. He's going to be pushing forward, so Hedrick's going to be on offense probably more than he is going to be on defense, more than he's going to be on offense in that first round. And then he's going to end up slowing because it's only at a 2-week fight camp. Again, everything leans toward Diaz. So if we're getting even money at minus 110 here, the smart bet has to be, you got to go with Diaz. And I actually like Diaz inside the distance to actually finish Hedrick simply because of that short fight notice. I don't think with a full camp, I think this is a much better fight. I'd probably lean Hedrick, but because of the physicality, the size of Diaz that I witnessed at the weigh-ins, because I know Hedrick is also, again, on short notice, and all in all, I know Diaz is a dangerous finisher with a lot of finishing upside. I got to take Diaz inside the distance. That's the way I'm going to go. And with that, we move on to our next fight. Next fight, we have a flyweight bout between Roque Consencio Morera Jr. That's the only time I'm going to say that name correctly. I'm never going to say it correctly again. Versus Imanol Rodriguez. Okay, this is a tough fight to pick. When I first did my breakdown reviews, I thought I was really heavy on Rodriguez because a lot of the stuff that I was reading, I think, had a lot of bias in it. We've already seen Rodriguez. If you watch The Ultimate Fighter, you've already seen Rodriguez. So even though he's 5-0, he has more experience than his record states, because on The Ultimate Fighter, those are exhibition matches, so they don't show up on your record. He ended up losing his match in The Ultimate Fighter to Morales, who eventually went on to win the whole thing. So that's something to consider. He was on Cormier's team, and Cormier has really been hyping this guy up. We know Cormier's prospects have been doing well in Dana White Contender Series this year. And he's always in the crowd there. He's always yelling. He's always hyping his guys up. So I think that's a big factor. And we've also known that Imanol Rodriguez trains at the UFC PI as well. So he's been working with good he's been having access to good training facilities. It's only been up and up since The Ultimate Fighter for him. He's fought good level of competition. So I think that's already been priced into the line, though, and I think that's my problem here because it's Rodriguez at minus 260. I would expect him to roll through his opponent, but on the other side, Roque Consensual Jr. is a really good, dangerous fighter, and he's bigger here. He is thicker, and he's confident. I looked at the weigh-ins, and he was confident the way he stared down Rodriguez. Because at the end, now the pressure's on Rodriguez. This is his moment to get a Dana White Contender Series contract. But now he's been built up and put on this pedestal. It's like, oh, this is the next big prospect. Whereas Roque Consensual, who is arguably the more experienced fighter and has fought better competition and is also the bigger dude, is coming in here with almost that weight off his shoulders because he's a plus 200 dog here. And I don't see anywhere where Imanol Rodriguez is significantly better than Consensual. We know Rodriguez has really good boxing. He puts it well. He puts it together. But so does Roque Consensual. He's just more of a kickboxer. He throws leg kicks. Both these guys have good combos. Rodriguez has a great boxing combinations. He works in the body really well, mixes that in. But that takes time to build up throughout a fight. So to actually have the body shots starts taking effect as the fight goes on. They don't work immediately. On the other side, you got Consensual, who has destructive knockout power, a lot of early finishes, and he has the grappling to keep this fight standing. I think both guys are going to want to keep this standing. They're going to keep it in their realm. Consensual definitely has the lights out power. Rodriguez has the ability to win on volume. If this fight goes the distance, and you like it going the distance, then Imanol Rodriguez is probably the pick because he's probably going to win on the volume and keeping the fight standing and on the outside. If you like this fight to end inside the distance, you probably like the Roque Consensual Jr. side because he has the explosive power. He's coming forward. He's a brawler, and he has a solid chin. This is a tough fight to pick, but I think I want to go with the under 1.5. It's a tough one. It's probably a stay away spot, but I like violence. I think these guys are going to come out there and try to get their contracts. This seems like the fight of the night on the card for me. I'm going to roll the dice on under 1.5. Again, odds aren't out already, so that's why I'm just giving you guys what the pick is. Depending on whatever the odds are on actual fight day, by all means, take the picks. If you don't like it, if you don't think the value's there. But that's how it has to be for Dana White Contender Series. Next up, we have a bantamweight bout between JLA Martinetti, so that's Juan Adrian Luna Martinetti, and Mark Vologdin. This is a bantamweight bout. This is a technician versus a grinder matchup. You have Martinetti, who's 5'8", the cleaner skill set, solid jab, great leg kicks, and smooth transitions when he can mix phases. His grappling is slick, especially with back takes, but he needs to control where the fight happens in order to win this one. He has great boxing and needs inside the clinch as well. So you stay outside, he's just kind of kicking, he's prodding with a jab. When you enter inside, he's trying to clinch up, throw knees, hard uppercuts, and he's trying to get to your back or trying to transition to the back from there. Not really the strongest offensive grappler, and that's going to be a factor in this fight because across from me is Mark Vologdin, who's only 5'5". So as a wrestler, that's automatically going to give him leverage because he's going to be smaller. He trains out of the All-Stars Training Center, is a compact powerhouse. He's a strong grappler with heavy top pressure, good control, and enough striking to close distance. He doesn't throw a ton of volume, but when he's on top, he's dominant. Expect Martinetti to look sharper early, but Vologdin's physicality and wrestling could slow the fight down and frustrate him over 15 minutes. I don't think Vologdin is so good that he will enter Martinetti untouched every time he initiates the grappling, which will need sometimes probably maybe let's say half the time he's going to be eating knees or uppercuts on his way in. And as the fight goes on, probably after a round and a half, if it's still there, I don't think Vologdin's going to be able to get those takedowns as easily, if at all. And that's why if he's not able to finish the fight early and the fight continues, I see Martinetti winning more of those minutes because he's a taller fighter. He should be landing at range. And for Vologdin to get the fight into his realm, he's going to have to close that range, that distance where we know Martinetti has good clinch work and strong striking inside that clinch range. For that reason, I am going to take a low confidence pick on Martinetti to get it done on the scorecards because I think he'll be able to mix it up everywhere. I know his jiu-jitsu should be able to keep it safe on the ground. I don't know if it's good enough for him to immediately pop back to his feet every time Vologdin gets him to the ground because Vologdin has really good top pressure. But this is a significant size difference, and I think Vologdin is the best grappler that and Martinetti is the best grappler in terms of jiu-jitsu that Vologdin has faced recently. So, low confidence pick, but I do want to go with the underdog here. I'll go with Martinetti to get it done on the scorecards, or this fight to, over 2.5 rounds or over 1.5 rounds if you guys want to take it differently for different odds. And then finally, we move to our final fight at lightweight. This is going to be a good one. I'm going with the underdog here, guys. Full spoiler. This is a real fight. Both these guys are UFC ready, in my opinion. Lucas Caldas is wild, violent Muay Thai striker. He really reminds me of Khalil Roundtree with the way he strikes. He throws with malicious intent, and he throws everything behind his strike. It's full sell. Even if you have your guard up, he's going to be breaking through it. He's fun to watch. He's 6-1 with all wins by knockout. His only loss isn't really a loss. It was a disqualification because he stomped on his opponent, and it wasn't even intentional. And you kind of see that as like the ref was just giving him a hard time, man. But essentially, an undefeated fighter, he might have that, John Jones blessing, because John Jones only lost as a DQ as well, right? So maybe that's a sign. But I'll tell you kind of my tinfoil hat theory on why I'm going to be going with Lucas Caldas in this one. He's going up against Magomed Zaynukov. Magomed Zaynukov is from Team Khabib. He's 7-0, represents modern Dagestan hybrid, strong wrestling foundation with legit knockout power. He's a dangerous striker, but his success comes with how the threat of the wrestling opens up the hands. Now, he doesn't wrestle like the other Dagestanis, but he has that offensive wrestling capability. But he's definitely not a dominant wrestler in the way where these guys are never taken down. You should never clinch them. He's definitely a more vulnerable of those Dagestani wrestlers than his peers. He's definitely probably the bottom tier in terms of wrestling, but striking, he is very, very good. And there's an opportunity, and he can definitely bang with Caldas in this fight, bang with most kickboxers, but the power and the violence is going to be a factor here. I think Zaynukov, who has no submission wins and everything comes by knockout, will actually need to mix in the wrestling or grappling in this fight to be successful. If he tries to kickbox in this fight and just strike like he did with the rest of his opponents, I think he's gonna die. I think he's gonna take so much damage that he doesn't expect, because I don't think he's ever been hit like this before, and the fight will go south very quickly for him. Now here's my tinfoil hat theory. In the last week, we saw Magomed Magomedov get knocked out in the PFL by Sergio Pettis. And Magomed Magomedov was a minus 400 favorite, okay? Got knocked out by spinning elbow. Then we saw Magomed Ankalaev go up against Alex Pereira and get knocked out in a minute, all right? And now, within a week, but within 10 days of that PFL knockout, we have Magomed Zaynukov going up against Lucas Caldas. And I just feel like this is another Magomed, all right? This is going to be the third Magomed that's going to go down in 10 days. And I feel like Lucas Caldas just catches him with and I feel like Zaynukov's going to have his guard up. He's going to do all the right things. It's just going to be one of those lulls in their kickboxing. It's going to look very even. Maybe Zaynukov might even look like he has the advantage and he's pressing forward. And then out of nowhere, they're just going to be like, pop, and he goes down, and Caldas is just standing there over him. Winner, they raise his hand, and that's it. And I can see that happening. And I just feel like the writing's on the wall for these Magomeds this week is just not their month. For that reason, give me Lucas Caldas to get the win by KO. If you don't like the Lucas size, then just take this fight under 1.5. I think these guys are going to be violent. I think they're going to go at each other. And if they don't, it's because Magomed did a full sellout and he just started grappling, and Dana White's not going to give him a contract anyways. And yeah, so just keep that in mind, guys. And that is the breakdown for all 5 fights on the Dana White Contender Series for this week. And very quickly, just going to recap our best bets from this video. So this is the moment. This is where you guys should be jumping to for most of the videos, I suppose. But these are the 5 best plays on the card for each of the fights. So make sure you keep that in mind. You can parlay them, play them single, totally up to you. Parlays, we haven't gone perfect on a parlay in about a month now. We did do it 3 times, but we're 3 for 7 now and going perfect. Some of you expect us to go perfect every single time. If you're one of those people, then you should definitely not parlay and play them singles, because you're going to go crazy. For anyone else who actually understands how math works and how parlays work and appreciates the work we do to actually hit at a 3 out of 7 rate with 5 or 6 leg parlays, then you understand. Well, put 4 of these together. I feel pretty good at them. I like a lot of these unders. Like a lot of these fights look like, one of these is not like the others. I see the Vologdin fight going over, but the rest of them I like the under on 1.5, or not to go the distance, or under 2.5. So a few different ways you can parlay this. But make sure you piece your tickets together. best of luck on that. Want to make sure you guys win. If you do end up winning and you guys want to share your picks or share your bets, please make sure you do post in the comments below so we can share with everybody else. Make sure you like the video. Make sure you turn on the notification bell. Make sure you share this with your other MMA fans so they can be put onto our winning ways as well, so they can make some money as well. And like I said, if you like the NFL picks, make sure you follow us on TikTok or Instagram, because that's where we're going to be posting the football picks. We already have football picks posted for Monday night as well, and we'll get some up for Thursday. So if you're lucky enough to see this video as soon as we post it on Monday night, it's a few hours before kickoff for Monday Night Football. So you'll be able to watch this video. You'll be like, oh my God, I got lucky because I watched this video early. So I got to go get the picks, and now I won some more money because we're giving a nice plus 440 parlay away. It's just a 2-leg parlay at plus 440. So, you can make some good money. With that, best of luck, guys. Hope you hit your picks, and we'll see you again in the next breakdown. Cheers.